Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Madison.
Whoa, switching things up. I like it. What's up, boys? Happy to be here. AJ just dipped out.
He's gone. Oh, shit. There goes the order. Hey. AJ's here as well. I decided just to mix things up a little bit, mate. Sorry about that. Just keeping you on your toes, you know?
Yeah, I'm offended. I'm over here reading the Discord. I see that Isaac is an Office fan according to his profile picture. So, yeah, if you guys want to see that, talk shit to us as Madison does, or talk shit to Madison, as we do, then join the Substack and get access to the Discord. So, it's a cool place. Check it out.
Yeah. That's good to plug
People
as any.
don't talk as much shit as I thought, surprisingly. So,
But no,
Feel
they
free
do.
to
You
if
just
you guys
can't
want.
read.
You know what? The
mean-
Substack,
you're not wrong.
the Substack Discord chat is genuinely a great community, to be fair. Everybody is very respectful. There's some good inside jokes already. I quite like that. And it hasn't, despite the fact the team have been shit, it hasn't erupted into a complete tire fire just yet. So let's try to keep it that way for a bit longer. But in the meantime, thank you to all of our Substack founding members: Des Windsor McGlynn, Tito, Matt Moritz, Pullman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MG and Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Jack, Carlo Fassi, Nasser, Merlin Flinker, Derek Favretto, Heavenly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Tarek, Marco Valleja, and Roberto Racinos. Maddie's
Next
always
week-
dead impressed with that.
Next week, I want you to do that without taking a breath between anyone's name.
I definitely can't do it today. I appear to have picked up some form of cold over the weekend. It happens. I just hope that I haven't infected Isaac, Stefano, and Lorenzo with it as well, given we all met up on Friday night for a few beer
I
skis.
mean, as long as you guys didn't
Hope you
start
did.
making out or anything, I think you're just fine.
Well, we were sharing pints, of course, as you
Well,
do.
as long as they weren't
Uh,
those hefty 4.5%ers, you know.
What do you think of Lorenzo's 95% head beer?
Yeah, that's wild. And the
That-
fact
I
he
mean-
poured it himself. Did he say he was doing it as a joke? But
Nope. He
Nah,
just
he
wasn't
just-
looking. He wasn't looking. He was so basically
No one
he
stopped
came over with a beer and was saying hello to us, handshakes, all that shit. He's got the glass down on the table and he's just pouring it in. And you know how you've got to tilt the glass, otherwise you're going to get a surge of bubbles. He just wasn't. He was just pouring the bottles straight in. And then we were like, whoa, 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 as it was about to overflow. And then when everything settled, it was like 5% beer. It was like a flip of what an actual beer should be like.
Lorenzo strikes me as a guy who, when he sees his friends, he just gets so excited that he's seeing his friends, he just blocks out everything else, you know?
He
Yeah, I
starts
can see it.
foaming over. Is that what you're trying to say?
So they just don't give you you have to pour your own beer in that
He
country.
got an alcohol-free beer as well, by the way, because he's not drinking this month. Make
Oh,
of
he's
that
doing
what you
sober
will.
October.
Yeah,
He's
he
a Joe
is,
Rogan
yeah.
fan.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I actually had a bottle of wine to myself last night. It was a great night. So I pulled an
Drinking
agent.
for both of you then. Yeah, I drank enough for all of us, to be fair. 2 steins and a pint. Hefty stuff, 4.8%. Got to be very careful with that. Yeah, the whole reason the hefty beer thing came along as well is because I went to the NFL yesterday at Spurs Stadium. It was
I
Chicago
went to
Bears
the
against
NFL.
the NFL, the National Football League. I went to an NFL game at the Spurs Stadium. Chicago against, who were they playing? Jacksonville, yeah. And wow, a lot of drinking from the Americans. I was pleasantly surprised. I know that you guys acted offended by that in the chat, but I just wasn't expecting to see. So I knew about tailgating, but I understood that as the concept of you get really, really hammered before the game. So then you go in and you experience the game, and then you might go out afterwards or whatever. The drinking that was carrying on through the game was impressive. I mean, the group of lads in front of us dressed in them like foam head things, you know, like they got a big bear hat on, and someone had a Patriots one on, and all that shit. They count. All I could count, there might have been more than this, was 8 pints during the game. I think that's really impressive. So yeah, that opened my eyes a bit. Came out the stadium. A bloke was on the phone to somebody, a Bears fan, covered in blood. So it clearly had a fight or fallen over. Then there was another guy who just like face down near the crossing with the can of beer next to his head. And everybody's like, "Are you all right, mate?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And it's like, "No, you're not. You have fallen on your face." His face was all, yeah. So that was chaotic, man.
I'll tell you what, if the Lions come over, there's a high likelihood that the wife and I will make the trek.
There's
over.
not. There's no chance he does that.
Homie.
Oh, I really hope so. Like, we got 3 games, I think, this year. It's gone up from the initial 1, and now there's like 2 at Spurs and 1 at Wembley, I think.
How much were your tickets, if you don't mind me asking?
They were, I think, £105.
What? It's cheaper than going to a game in Detroit.
It might actually be cheaper to fly to London and watch a game.
Yeah, we
Fly back.
actually got like, because the Spurs Stadium has like a huge first tier as well, including one big stand that's 25,000 seats on its own, and we were like sort of the top of the lower tier in the corner. If any of you follow on Twitter, they posted a couple of photos from the view that we had, but it was genuinely a really, really good view. For about 100, it may be a bit more than that. Maybe it was like 140. But we only decided to go because we were meant to be going to watch England in Finland, and we didn't get tickets for that. So we just took the budget we had for that trip, and we're like, what should we do instead? Let's go watch an NFL game. Really enjoyed it.
Not Goodison Park. The new Everton Stadium has been getting a lot of hype, so maybe they'll put an NFL game there. I don't know how big.
But then they have to go there.
Can you imagine, like, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys showing up in like Bramley-Moore docks? That would be really, really funny.
I think the average American just calls the whole country of England London.
You're not wrong about that.
I don't think they know where Everton play. Like, they couldn't find Liverpool on a map. So,
like, and one thing I will say as well is,
can I just be like wishful thinking here?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
The chant culture was interesting. The worst that it got was Green Bay sucks.
Yeah.
And like, you know what it's
We're
like
not
over
singers
here.
No.
Yeah.
I love the videos. I think AJ and I send them to each other often. It's like the England versus American chat or chants. And it's like, go team, go. You know?
I believe that we will win. Your mum's a slag.
Yeah, exactly.
Defense.
We've just been demonetized, I think. Bear Down Chicago Bears. That was an interesting song as well. Kind of liked it, but they played it after every touchdown and they scored 5 of them. So,
which is actually pretty impressive for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a good side this year.
That's a lot.
They're a good team this year, from what I gather. They've had like about a decade of being really, really poor, and they got first overall pick, and Caleb Williams looked pretty good. So anyway, should we talk about what we're meant to talk about?
No.
I kind of enjoy this more, honestly. So
yeah. I'd be happy to just continue to watch the NFL or NFL for the rest of the winter, to be honest. But we have to proceed, unfortunately. I want to finish
halfway through the season anyway, so
in the NFL,
less, right? I'd say at least the regular season. We're what, 6 or 7 weeks
games
in now?
This was week 6. Yeah,
this is week 6. Okay, so we're a little less than halfway, about 40%, I'd say.
Yeah, it's 17 games now, AJ.
It's a lot.
To be honest, I thought it was 16 still.
I know you did.
Okay. Huh. Anyways, well, let's move on.
AJ is a huge football fan. Honestly, the biggest that I know.
Yeah.
So,
can I finish the Substack plug and then we'll?
Yeah.
See,
we interrupted.
We're still on that.
I forgot. Yeah. Okay.
We're still on that. In the last week, over on the Substack, we have had the bonus podcast, which was me and AJ on Friday, rambling away. What was it, Saturday? Did we do Saturday? We did Saturday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a different day.
We did a different day, yeah. We were rambling on about alternate realities. What if various things happened? Some of the things we talked about. What if we'd hired Conte instead of Fonseca? What if we didn't sell Tonali? What if we didn't sack Maldini? What if... we went back to 2005 Champions League final. What if we'd made certain substitutions? What if technology was there to track Dudek coming off his line? What if we didn't sell Thiago Silva and Ibrahimovic in one summer? It was all talked about. Where would the club be? Look, elite is, we all know the answer. We'd be a better club if none of those things happened. The newsletter went out as well. 2 sides to every international break. Was talking about the fact that we've entered another break sort of under the microscope because of poor form and some player mutiny, but the idea that it gives us a break and a chance to reset things a little bit. I did something. It was a long article, but I hope that I did the subject justice. bit of a deep dive into what's been going on with the investigations into the Ultras, both Milan's Curva Sud and Inter's Curva Nord, came in around 3,000 words. So if you've got a spare 15, 20 minutes, go give that a read. AJ won't be. But yeah, basically outlines everything that's happened, what they're investigating. It goes back to the power struggle that's happened in the Curva Sud, some violent episodes, beer Ponzi schemes, the involvement of like Simone Inzaghi and Davide Calabria and other names that have come up. It's a real mess, but I've tried to outline it as best possible. But yeah, go try Substack week for free if you like. And yeah, you get access to the Discord, so you can continue to poke fun at Maddie or whomever else you might want to poke fun at. Let's talk about the one game we've got to talk about this week. It is Udinese at home. Not the easiest game for us historically. This Udinese a bit of a bogey team for us. What was the score last season? We didn't win, did we?
Let's find out. We won 3-2 in January and then lost 1-0 in November.
Yeah,
so
yeah, we lost at home. The 3-2 in the 3-2 away from home was the racism game with Maignan when Okafor scored the winner.
I was gonna say that's a crazy way to call a game.
Well, look, yeah, I'm not trying to trivialize it in any way. I just didn't know how to phrase it. It was the game with the racism incident. Yeah.
Jovic had a 83rd minute equalizer. We were down 2-1, and then Okafor had the winner.
Is Jovic still on the team?
Kind of.
He is.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it feels like we tend to either drop points at home or away against Udinese every single season. And they've actually had a pretty decent start to this season. They are currently 5th in the league, would you believe it? They're above us by 2 points. They've won 4, drawn 1, and lost 2. So as it stands, they're in a direct Europa League qualification place. We don't expect that to last, do we? Let's be honest. But they also won their 2 Coppa Italia games against Avellino and Salernitana, which sets them up in the round of 16 against Inter. So do us a favour in that. That'd be lovely, lads. But yeah, they've been in good form this season. Are we a little bit worried because of that? Or is this where we do our usual thing of like, we come back strong from the break, we string together 3 good results, and then we let ourselves down in another big game?
Well, since September 22nd, they have lost a game, won a game, lost a game, won a game, and this next game means they're going to lose the game, which is us. So we're looking pretty good there.
Good. I like that.
Patterns, it's the type of brain I have. So, but yeah, I'm looking at their placement here. 10 goals for, 10 goals assists against. They score, but they also can't keep them out, which is interesting because I feel like that's us. We've scored more and kept out more as well, but they're above us in the table. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, Pulisic coming home early is going to be helpful. That means he gets a bit of a rest finally because he needs it.
Hasn't got one.
Yeah, he's been playing nonstop for like what feels. I think his last break was when we were in Australia, right?
Yeah, that's probably right.
So that was when they got knocked out of Coppa Italia early. Coppa Italia, Coppa America.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
that too.
Another thing to keep in mind are the suspensions. We don't have Theo for this game. Is that a good thing based on how he's been playing? Maybe. Is that a bad thing because we don't have anyone to replace him? Yes. So I don't know what's going to happen there. It'll be interesting to see. I honestly, any result is believable for this one.
Yeah. I think we will scrape out a win. I think whenever we come back from the international break so far this season, it's happened once. We have bounced back fairly strong. And that's all I got about the reason why.
Did we
just vibes?
I think so. Didn't we?
Yeah, going into the last break, we'd had it was after the Lazio game. Was the last break when we drew 2-2.
Yeah. You're right.
And then
3 straight dubs.
Yeah, in the league. And
haven't won since.
Defeat to Liverpool. Haven't won since.
How many of our players are on international duty?
We had like 20, didn't we?
18.
We had a shit ton. 18.
18 if you only go down to a certain, like what the Futura players are involved in.
Yeah.
You can go further down than that for youth internationals, but 18, yeah. Now's the time probably to do a bit of a recap on the international front. Chukwueze is stuck in an airport in Libya at the moment. That's a very strange situation, but to try and summarize it quickly.
Because there's no planes, or is there like a governmental issue?
Osimhen said it's like a hostage situation,
Okay.
which is pretty... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's totally normal. Basically, Nigeria played Libya at home on Friday night, and then they've flown out to Libya for a return game, which is meant to take place tomorrow, Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday. And they've been stuck in the airport in Libya because their flight got diverted, and they don't know how they're going to be able to make their onward 3-hour journey to where it is that they're playing. Apparently, a really old bus showed up to take the team, and they just refused to get on it. We don't know how bad the bus was or if that even happened at all. But yeah, Osimhen is not with the team, but I'm guessing he's speaking to some of the members of the team, and he put out a statement saying how much of a disgrace it is, and that it has all the hallmarks of a hostage situation, because there's even some reports that they're not getting food and water, and that there's nowhere for them to sleep. I look, the actual facts are going to come out afterwards, I'm sure, but it's not a great look, to be honest. And to make matters worse, Chukwueze is injured. He sustained a hamstring injury towards the end of the game on Friday, and therefore he's going to be flying back. He's not going to play any part in tomorrow's game, and yet he can't leave the airport to make his way back to Italy. So I'm sure Milan are thrilled about that. Yeah. And then bloody Pulisic has been released early, which is good. And the reason that I frame it in that way is because there was all the stuff about Pochettino saying he's playing every single minute available, and it worries us a little bit. We need to manage his workload. He arrived a little tired, that kind of thing. And then Mexico, I mean, I know it's a friendly, but it's still a decent game. It's better than Panama, shall we say. He's just said, no, fuck off.
Yeah, but it's
off
when you play Mexico, it's a really rough game.
Yeah.
I think he's just also trying to avoid injuries. If he's already tired, he's bound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he played a decent chunk of the game against Panama, had the assist for a Musa goal.
Yeah.
So,
that was a nice link up
I'd see the day that two Milan players link up for a US goal, but here we are. I didn't watch the game, but very cool.
So you still didn't see it, but you're aware of it.
But I read it.
Nah, I've seen the goal, obviously, because I had to tweet it. Nice cross from Pulisic on the left, and Musa playing right wing back, I think, makes a run that Pulisic would make in off the side and taps it in from a central area. That was good stuff.
Replacement, maybe?
Perhaps. What else have we got? Reinders played against Hungary. Teo Maignan started for France against Israel, and Fofana came off the bench. Pavlovic started for Serbia. Jovic came off the bench. I'm just trying to go through. Leao. No, he didn't. I thought he had. I've got Live Score app, and it flashed up that Pavlovic had scored, so I put that in the chat, and then it got changed to Milenkovic, sadly. Leao had a really good game for Portugal. Ebola, which is their main newspaper, named him the man of the match for their game. I can't even remember who they were playing. But whatever, he went on a run down the left, hit the post with the shot, and then the rebound was tapped in by Cristiano Ronaldo. So he does get the assist for that, I believe, which is good. Good to hopefully get a bit of confidence going in him. That's about it, really. Nothing else too noteworthy. There are games tonight and tomorrow. Debut. He didn't. He stayed on the bench.
He does it tonight.
Yeah, it's expected to. No, don't change it to talking points, Maddie.
Oh,
because I'm going to come back to the Udinese.
Okay.
Going through who out of our players might be tired. Gabbia hasn't, but he is expected to actually play tonight because Italy are going to rotate for their home game against Israel. So we'll wait and see on that front. But apart from that, nothing. Just the Chukwueze injury / hostage situation. And then the Pulisic boost, I guess, because there were doubts about whether he'd be available at all for the Udinese game, given how close to the game he'd be flying.
We thought that last time too, but then he played.
Yeah, against
All things considered, that's probably the best combination of player coming back early and player staying late, you know?
You might be right.
Not ideal
situations aside, you know?
Yeah.
At least it's the backup to the star who the star's returning early and the backup staying late.
You know what? You know? Thankfully, the U.S. just have a competent coach now who understands.
Yet to be seen, but yeah. Technically undefeated, won every game, so.
Yeah. Defensively perfect too. Yeah. Anyway, Udinese, as AJ alluded to, a little bit up and down to say that they are where they are in the table. Drew with Bologna first game of the season, not a bad result. Then they beat Lazio at home. Then they beat Como. Then they beat Parma. They were on a mad roll to start. But their 2 defeats in the league have come against Roma and Inter. So that maybe says a little bit more about the level that they're at in terms of their inflated league position. They beat Lecce at home in the last game. That was on the 5th of October before the break. The team that they played in that game, they're still playing a 3-5-2. That's great. Okoye in goal, Kabasele, Biol, and Toure as the 3 centre-backs. Ehezibue and Zemura as the wing-backs. Zemura scored the winner. Midfield 3, Zaraga, Karlstrom, and Eklenkamp. And then Luca and Brenner up front. I really like Lorenzo Luca. He has scored 3 goals this season. Not as many as I thought, but he's the main threat, I guess. He's the one who's going to score the goals for them. He was at Ajax, and then he went to Pisa, and now he's here. Or he might have been Pisa to Ajax and then back, and yeah, whatever. But I guess all there is to do is do a prediction while we wait for what could be some potential rotation. There's talk of RLC coming in. There's talk of Pavlovic coming in for Tomori, given his bad form and what happened in Fiorentina. Yeah, would you do that? What changes would you make to the team, if any?
I don't know if Pavlovic is the right change for Tomori, but you know, I bought a jersey with his name on it, so definitely give him some more minutes.
I think with Theo out, you should limit rotation on the back and the midfield, just because you don't want to like change things up too much. Because I imagine that even if Theo wasn't suspended, he would be playing even if there was a lot of changes. So with that in mind, I would not change too much, but also give some legs a break.
Yeah, starting up top, you think?
I think, well, Gazzetta said that it might be Okafor with Morata in behind.
I think with the whole Tammy PK thing and Morata, like we could also see some changes there.
Yeah. The thing is that Morata will probably start both games for Spain. He started the first one, whereas Tammy has stayed back and had the full international break. Same goes for Tomori, while Pavlovic is starting both games for. So, like, if you're wanting to pick your fresher players, then you probably do that. And then we've got Club Brugge a few days after that, which we'll preview in next week's episode. But like, that's like a real must-win with where we're at in Champions League things. So I don't know. Maybe this is the game where you stick with Tomori and you stick with them with Tammy and say they've had the break, and then you evaluate things going into that Champions League game. But I don't know. I find it difficult, given what we've seen so far from Fonseca, to imagine him making wholesale changes. Like I just don't think that's going to happen. I think if Okafor did start, then I can't see him leading the line up front against a team like Udinese. I don't think that's a particularly good idea. I think it's more likely to be Morata up front or Abraham up front and then RLC in behind. I'm saying it's more likely, not what I'd actually want to happen. But Calabria is going to be injured. RLC is still a bit of a doubt, I think. We've got to wait and see. Training resumes today. There's no Chukwueze to potentially start over Pulisic. Okafor seems to be playing more down on the left, or at least he's rumoured to, so I can't see him taking Leao's spot. Then I think it's going to be Terracciano over Jimenez for the left-back role. I'd like to see Jimenez. Like, we're at home against a team that we should beat. Let's be more positive and pick someone who can kind of replicate what Theo does. I'll be disappointed if we pick Terracciano, to be honest.
I will too.
But
is Jimenez injured? Or is he healthy?
No, he is available. He was injured for so the Lazio away game where Teo was benched. Terracciano started, and people said, or rather journalists said, it was purely because Jimenez was injured. Whereas now the build-up to the game seems to be suggesting that it'll be Terracciano, regardless of the fact that they're both fit. So we'll wait and see. For what it's worth, apparently Theo and Maignan are going to be starting from the bench tonight for France because they're going to rotate, whereas Fofana probably will start. So don't know if that factors into things at all. Musa's going to arrive back late because he wasn't released by Pochettino, so I don't think there's any real chance of him starting in midfield over anybody. Predictions?
2-1 win.
I was thinking the same thing, but I think we're going to go behind first. I think it'll be a come from behind, show what we're made of sort of deal.
So, what's your score prediction? 2-1?
I said 2-1, yeah.
Okay.
I am going to go 1-1. I think we are going to drop points, and I think the pressure is going to pile up even more. I think because of the start to the season that Udinese have had, weirdly, this is a bit of a free hit for them. You know, they can come, they've got plenty of points on the board, and they can just try and frustrate us and try and hit us on the break when we show our softer moments in games, of which there have been plenty recently. And I can also see us falling behind and maybe getting a late equaliser or something, but it won't help anything. Is Fonseca going to be judged on what happens between now and the next break? You know, most likely we've got 7 games in 21 days coming up that you could argue are season defining, really. So we have to start off with a win. And I think that pressure might translate into a difficult night. That's just my gut feeling.
We have Napoli at the end of the month. In between that, obviously Udinese this weekend, then Club Brugge, then Bologna. That's a tough run. If we don't get points, or if we drop any points this weekend, I think he's in a lot of trouble. I think even if we win in the fashion that I think of a come from behind, I think he's in a lot of trouble. If we don't get a win against Bruges, I think he's done.
Yeah, you think he might be sacked after that?
Yeah, you can't go 0 points in 3 Champions League games. You can't do it. The first 2, okay, they were tough, but this is the one where it's like, look, you should be winning this. You have no excuse, you know. And then just going into the rest of them, like Napoli's top of the table, they look massive right now. If we lose, bro, it's not a good time to be named Fonseca. That's for sure.
Or Fonseca or whatever Maddie called him that time.
Maybe it is a good time for that. You can change his name.
I have nothing. Screw you guys.
Fair enough. Let's hope for 3 points. Now we can move on to talking points.
Hey, AJ, change it to talking points.
Yes, sir. Anything for you, boss?
Bit of renewal roundup for us then. The first one is, the first 2 seem to be going in the right direction. Matteo Gabbia is expected to extend his contract, according to Sky, until 2030. Which would be a 5-year deal, which would kick in at the end of this season.
We're on the Chelsea route.
Yeah, that's long.
Got a big transfer fee to amortize over that period. He will double his salary from 1 mil net per season to 2 mil plus bonuses. Again, that's according to Sky. And they also say that he might wear the armband, given that Theo and Calabria are out for the Udinese game. It won't be a full-time thing.
I'm all about that.
Are you in favour? Are you in favour of the renewal and the gift that you might get on Saturday?
The renewal, yes. Armband, I think it's a little early for that. I think he can
just
wear
a one-game thing.
He has dealt with so much shit when being like, he's not good enough, not gonna play. We're gonna sign someone to play in front of him. Like he's earned his spot, right? He's shown that he's going to stick around.
But I don't know if that makes him the captain. I mean, how many games has he even played? I know that's not like...
I bet you he's played more than you think.
Probably.
For the club?
But I would imagine it's less than 100, right?
For the club in general?
Yeah.
I'll have a look. I'm going to have a guess, though. I don't think he's made his 100th appearance. Definitely not. I think it'll be like somewhere in the 70s, maybe.
I'll say between... 60.
Just the first team, or are you counting youth level too?
Just first.
No, just the first team.
Okay, I don't think it's that high. I'd say
every
between 45 and 60.
That's quite a broad range.
50.
He has made 82.
Buck.
82. Yeah.
That's impressive. I didn't think he was that high up there, to be honest. But you
Yeah.
know what? Where's Pulisic at now? He's probably close to 70 because he did over 50 the first season.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah.
Pulisic is at 60.
Plus, oh.
So make him the captain then.
Gabbia has 5 goals as well. It's not as many as Pulisic, but I remember 2 of them, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Tomori has over 100 appearances.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I mean, he's been here since the 2019-20 season, right? So
yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah, look, the renewal's well earned. Like, there's no doubt that he should be getting more than 1 million net per year when you compare with the others that are earning a similar amount. And
I think he should be earning more than 2, but that's just me.
If he's willing to accept it, though, we should probably
for sure
shake hands on that deal. But that in itself is probably a sign that, like, we'll never have a problem renewing certain players. I don't think. I also think I know there is a whole load of shit going on about it, and we'll talk about it in a sec. But the Calabria thing, I do think that, like, as long as you offer an acceptable amount, these players that are like boyhood fans of the club and things, they're not going to hold out in the same way that others are.
I think Tonali would, if he was here.
Tonali took a salary cut to join us on a permanent deal, though.
Yeah, but once he was like good, I bet he would have been like, "No, you pay me this. I have gambling issues."
Yeah, depends. He's been supplementing his salary with gambling winnings, so he doesn't need it.
Also, I suppose it depends on the agent a little bit as well. Some push harder than others, but well earned for Gabbia, no doubt about it.
At the end of the day, he's doubling his money. Like, I'm not saying no to doubling my money.
No. Also, that's like $150,000 a week. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's good money.
I'm sure he's well happy with it.
Mm-hmm. He's 24 as well. Like, there'll be at least another deal for him to sign, at some point as he enters his prime years, 27, whatever. He'll probably sign another one if he's still here and he's still important. But yeah, that was a straightforward one. There's good news on the Maignan front as well. He's heading towards extending from 2026 to 2028. So an extra 2 years on that.
Is that good news?
I think so. He's 5 mil net per season plus bonuses, and he currently gets 2.8 mil. That's the rumor. So it's near enough double again. But we knew we were going to have to pay him or lose him, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I guess it's a good sign that we're showing that we'll pay players who are important to the club.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. I think that's the way to look at it. And also, he has been really, really good this season, barring like 1 or 2 moments. He's been outstanding, like back to his best. Yeah. So that's positive. And I think like if we get this done in the next few weeks, it'll just look really good from a PR standpoint, because here we've got one of the best players in the world in his position, and he's going to extend without any real dramas. Speaking of dramas, that brings us on to an actual drama. Teo Hernandez. I don't even know where to begin with this. You probably start back in the summer when Zlatan said at one of the press conferences, we're talking with Theo and Maignan about extending. There's a willingness on both sides. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, "Don't worry, it's all under control." He said, "Everything's under control." And then a few days later, Theo is doing a press conference with the French national team, and he says, "We'll see," basically, when asked about his future at Milan. So that got the alarm bells ringing. He didn't want to commit his future or anything. But I think that was a bit of a response to Zlatan by saying, "Look, I'm in control of my future as well. You can't just say everything's fine," And then Gazzetta, all the stuff happened, with what the Fiorentina game, the penalty that he shouldn't have taken, the penalty that he gave away, the red card. Gazzetta did a big double-page spread that he wants 8 mil net per season to renew, and that the club are not willing to pay it because he's been too inconsistent. And then his agent comes out and says that that isn't true, but they haven't spoken. The club and him haven't spoken for months. Teo's happy at Milan. but he refused to basically close the door on an exit, at least while they're literally not hearing anything from the club. Which brings us to the present and more reliable reports from Milan News and things like that, saying that it's not 8 mil that he wants, but it's probably going to be 7 mil. It's going to be around what Leao earns at least. That he's happy to stay, feels settled and everything like that, but that Milan are not really accelerating, shall we say, at this point, and that talks are kind of dragging out. What's your gut feeling on this? Do you think it'll get done?
What is
it
you probably said it, and I looked down. I just had a text message that I read. But when does his current contract end?
2026.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know.
Look, I think we could drag it out for the end of the season and then get it done the first half of next year.
Right.
He does get he is one of our higher earned players, but then again, you look at, like you just said with the Maignan deal, how we're renewing that one pretty early. The Gabbia deal, which I guess is a lot lower money, but it's long term and quickly. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Everything on the surface, like looking at it, you just assume he's difficult to deal with, but then everything you hear says it's very straightforward, which makes you wonder why is it not.
Everything you hear is bullshit because that happened with Kessié, Donnarumma, oh, I want to stay. Oh, I'm going to go now,
Yeah.
If I'm Milan management, I'm also...
Agent.
What?
They always said, talk to my agent. I'm happy here, but I do what my agent tells me, sort of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm Milan, I'm also dragging my feet because if these inconsistencies and attitude issues continue throughout the season, I'm cashing in and trying to find a good replacement.
Or like you accelerate as soon as he gets the red card and say, use that as leverage. Like, look, you get these things often, we'll offer you a little less. No, and then if he's like, shit, maybe I do get him often. Maybe he accepts. I don't know. Probably unlikely, but it's interesting. I read a report that Leao is looking at it as well. And like, if it doesn't happen, then he might dip out. And I'm sure that's bullshit because
he's already renewed.
Yeah, exactly. He's here. He's stuck.
Also, the idea of us selling both of those players in one summer, that would be quite the bomb to drop, wouldn't it? So he can look at it all he wants, he's already renewed until 2028, which is good for us, obviously. 2026 is an interesting deadline, though, isn't it? Because end of this season will be 2025, and therefore we would go into next season with him having less than a year on his deal. We know from experience that we don't want to do that. So I think that sets the deadline to get something done as by the end of the season, because otherwise we're going to have to try and cash in a year in advance.
I bet it'll be right at the end of the season.
Potentially, yeah. Or knowing the club, they like to do things at certain moments. So maybe it'll all happen when there's been a bit of an upturn in results or something like that, and then we capitalize on the good vibes. Look, Teo's renewed as well. Like I remember Leao's renewal was announced in and around the Champions League semi against Inter.
Yeah.
Like we got to there and it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, he's staying as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But the comment, there's too much to read through, but the comments from Teo's agent are worth reading. Says that they haven't heard anything for 4 months from the club since May, June. The club contacted me, asked if we want to remain, and if we're happy, we said yes. Then there was no further contact. So I guess the important starting point is that, we've obviously expressed a willingness at some point to extend his contract naturally, and that Theo seems to be happy to stay. I'm sure it's something that will, get to the heat of things in the coming months. But yeah, I think that's it. And then Calabria, his deal's up at the end of the season, and there is absolutely nothing to suggest that things are going well / moving.
They're not going to let him walk.
They will. He's walking. No, he's walking.
You think?
Yeah, I think he's walking. I think that's the only way we get rid of captains that we no longer want. We did it with Romagnoli. We did it with Montalivo.
Yeah.
Who was before him? I can't remember.
Was Bonaventura captain?
I think he wore it at some point, but he was never like an actual.
Ambrosini was a captain before that.
Yeah. I think he walked too, didn't he? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just the way we handle captains. Like instead of selling a captain, because that also looks bad, we just kind of say like, thank you for your service. enjoy your next chapter sort of deal when we're done with him. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but it's the pattern I've noticed. And he very much is the backup. He
is now.
Look, he might even be better than Emerson, to be honest with you, but the reality is he is the backup player in this moment. And I think we're still looking for another right back as well. I'm pretty sure I read that they still want to go for Thiago Santos in January. So, like, if we're still looking for another right back, then there's no chance for him. There's just no chance. So he's gonna leave. What is his salary? Like 2.8, something like that.
2 mil bang on net, but because he doesn't qualify for the growth decree, it's 3.7 mil gross. So that's something to factor into renewal. Is like if he says I'm gonna I will renew, but I want a pay rise in recognition of I'm captain and service to the club and all that shit. Let's say it goes up to 4 mil. You're near enough 7.5 mil gross there. That would put him right up there with like Morata, for example. Even Leao's gross amount is less than that because of the growth decree, and it kind of like feeds back into this internationalization of the team, really. We've got Gabbia as a starter now, but Calabria's lost his starting spot. We're struggling to name homegrown players. We've got certain players in the pipeline with the Futuro like Zeroli, Kamada, Sia, Scotty, all these guys, but they're struggling in Serie C. They're second bottom and have the worst attack in the league. So it's like there's been calls to like build an Italian core or whatever. It's getting further away, if anything. And if we let him walk, I think it'll send a statement, but I'm just not sure what it is yet. I think a lot will happen between now and the end of the season. He may well regain his starting spot. He may have an upturn in form. I remember he was really close to being sold to Cagliari for like 9 million, was Calabria, a while ago. And then he came back and had probably his best season. So I just wondered if like he might find a way to channel it and go again and get his starting spot back. I hope so, really, because I think he's had a lot of unnecessary shit from fans, to be honest, who seem to hold players to a higher standard just because they came through the club academy. But that's probably for another time. As it stands, though, at present, he isn't good enough to be our starting right back, probably nor is Emerson. So I'm not surprised to learn that Moncada, who, as we've gathered, doesn't really give a shit about which team these players support or anything. It doesn't surprise me to hear that he might just let him go and sign another right back who will then become the starter, and Emerson Royale's the new backup. Seems a bit of a mess to me, but that's where we're at. I think that's it. Aside from a little bit of striker stuff, Tammy Abraham is obviously on loan until the end of the season, and Luka Jovic has a deal which expires at the end of the season. So there's potential that we're without both of them, and we're just left with Morata. Reports this morning say Jonathan David's a target, and then there was also one saying Santiago Jimenez, Mexico's finest, and then there was another one. I can't remember the name of the guy.
Didn't Santiago's agent say that we made an offer?
He did.
Oh, he said it.
He did it. Yeah, he said it. Yeah, on deadline day, and he said there just wasn't enough time, and Feyenoord's asking price was high. But he said he's keeping the door open basically because it would be a dream move, which would it's an upgrade without.
I would take him. It'd be like that picture of the Blood and Crips holding up the tie bandana. Pulisic and Santiago.
Yeah. He's good, no doubt. I think I'd rather Jimenez than David. I'm going to be honest.
Same. And I think I don't know if he'd be cheaper, actually, because David would be on a free. So he wouldn't be cheaper. Yeah. His contract might be cheaper, but the price to buy him would be probably, 40, you think? 45?
I'd say about 40, yeah. I think so. And obviously that depends, because it wouldn't be before next summer. So I guess that a lot of it depends on how he does this season. And one thing to factor in is that he's out until the end of the year with a pretty bad muscle problem. So might that drive his price down? Might that put us off? I don't know.
How old is Jonathan David now? Is he 25 or 26?
25.
Okay. Yeah, so he still has time. I know Fonseca specifically said he didn't want him at Milan after leaving Lille, but I mean, who's to say Fonseca will be here next summer anyways? So
he's 24. 24, sorry. David,
wow. Okay. Well, hopefully he starts scoring visible goals. And then we get him. But it would be worrying if we lose 2 strikers going into the summer. Now, if we replace it with both of them, then that's actually a very good bit of business. But it's
Morata to Saudi for 50 mil as well.
I would
Something
take
like
that.
Yeah.
Jimenez is 23, and I wanted to look up his goal scoring record. He's got 53 goals, 13 assists in 93 games for Feyenoord.
That's not bad.
That's a
Didn't he go to
good...
Nottingham Forest?
What?
No.
Why did I think
he was linked with them though? He was linked with them in the summer.
Maybe
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I thought I saw that and I was like, "What?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?"
Milenkovic went there, and he's like their best player now. So yeah, Jimenez is an interesting one. I've always liked what I've seen from him, which admittedly is like a handful of games, but he is a scrappy fucker.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot. We just need to see how he comes back after this injury. And I think the thing with David as well is that there's an obvious link in that he plays for Lille, a club that we've negotiated with in the past, and he had his 2 best career seasons under Fonseca. But how do we know Fonseca's going to be here planning for next season? We don't. So then it comes down to, like, do the management just want him because it's a good deal, or do the management want him because Fonseca knows him? In which case, yeah, I don't know. Let's move on. We'll do a couple of questions. I apologise, everybody, because I put this questions tweet out in a little bit of a rush. Put it out like 30 minutes before we started recording because we didn't know if we were going today or tomorrow. But I'm going to go through the ones that we did get in. We'll start with on Twitter. Got one from Michael Gambino. How much will Milan offer for Samuele Ricci, if anything? He seems perfect for the midfield.
I don't think we'll offer anything. I just feel like we're not going after Italians. I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy, but given the growth decree is coming back now, I just, knowing this management and knowing how unattached they are from emotional point of views in the club, I just don't see them going for an Italian. Even though I think Ricci would be perfect for us. I think he is a good shout, and I'd like to see him. I don't think we'd offer anything for him. Maybe we'd lowball and say like 10 to 15, but they're not accepting that.
Not happening. It's not happening, is it? I think the thing with him, right, I think he'd be perfect for us, to be honest. I think he'd be perfect if we carry on playing with the double pivot. I think he'd be perfect if we switch to a 3-man midfield. You could have him or Fofana playing as the deeper player. I think in the last 12 months with Torino, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's now a starter for the Italian national team, and he looks absolutely fine. He doesn't look out of place. And I think he's probably ready for the jump to a bigger club next summer as well. It seems that if we were to go for him, the main rivals would be Man City, and that says a lot. I think that's...
I actually see him ending up at Inter, to be honest with you.
Yeah, on some bollocks like loan with option deal.
Yeah, 2-year loan.
The thing is like we just don't spend money on domestic talent. It's like we haven't caught up with Juve and Inter where we think that we can get away with spending little and clubs will accept it, right?
Yeah, we haven't taken advantage of some of these like favourable formulas. Look at Inter, for example, the deal that they got for Fratesi, and yeah, you can debate the merits of the deal in hindsight because as a player, he's still not an established starter or anything. He's been mainly coming off the bench, but we were both in for him, and they managed to get a loan deal, to defer the expense, and yeah, you can't rule out them doing something similar this summer with a player like that. I don't know where he might end up, to be honest. Inter's not a bad shout, especially if they get creative with like counterparts, as they often seem to do. I really hope we go in for him. That's all I can say. Do I believe that we end up with him? No, I really don't. I think we've already invested quite a bit in the midfield when you look at the players that we have. We spent 20 on RLC, 20 on Reinders, 20 on Musa, and 20 on Fofana. Mm-hmm. We've got an 80 million midfield there that we intend to grow into one that's worth more than that. In my opinion, if we get Ricky in for 20 mil, then he would probably be the best of the lot. But it's not going to happen because you negotiate with Torino, they're doubling the price if they're selling domestically. And that's why there's such a drain on talent, and that's why we're going elsewhere for value. Would I like to see us, throw in like Pobega as a counterpart? Or yes, I don't know, bit of counterpart stuff going on. Then yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'll move on. Next question. Boss85, please motivate us and help us care about this yet another trophyless season.
Well, it's only October, and we haven't had any games to win a trophy yet, so it's not trophyless until we have a final loss, right?
Madison's correct. I would say wouldn't count on winning the Champions League. I don't think anyone was from the start.
That's negative.
Yeah, but I'm also recognizing that we have 0 points at this point in the competition. Look, we can make a cup run. We've beaten.
It's also not trophyless. We won the trophy of Berlusconi.
And we were
on your face,
champ.
guy or girl. I don't know what you are, so I apologize.
Very progressive.
Female boss.
Girl boss. Sorry. Watch this. It's going to be a guy now. Now he's just pissed. So
yeah.
Apologies. No, I think we still have a chance because we have the Super Cup and it's the two-legged thing. Yes, we play Juventus. I think it's like 3 times in 3 weeks too. It's some bullshit. Yeah, we play him December and then January and then early February or something. I don't know. It's like 3 times in 30 days. It's something stupid.
It's late November. I know this because it clashes with a birthday.
Yeah,
and then in the Super Cup and then
weekend.
In early Feb, I think. So yeah, it's a couple of months, but whatever, same thing.
It's ridiculous. Anyways, but we have the chance at the Super Cup, so that's not done yet. We've beaten Inter this season. Like we've proven it's something that's possible. So we're gonna play them most likely in the Coppa Italia again. So expect 2 more. And if we beat Juventus, which as of right now, maybe, I don't know, that we probably play Inter again in the Super Cup. So look, this could be a trophyless season, or it could be
a treble.
A very, very satisfying, fulfilling trophy full season where we beat Inter quite a few times because that's what it'll take. And for me, we've beaten Inter. We've proven that we've beaten the best team, that we can beat the best team in the league, which means we could win a trophy in this league, be it Super Cup, Scudetto, Coppa Italia. Nothing's out of the realm of possibility yet. So, keep your head high. You got this. Did we motivate him? I hope so.
Yeah, in response to her question, slash statement slash request. I guess it's a request, isn't it, to motivate? I think we can win the league still. I really do. And
yeah, I don't think it's over by any means.
It's not over. I'm shocked at what I've seen so far. That's what I'll qualify it by saying. I really don't think Napoli are going to win the league. I just don't. I don't see it. I think Conte will elevate their position, obviously. They've started well. They've got no European competition, obviously, which is a big help. But I don't see them staying up there. I think a couple of injuries could really see them go into their depth pieces, and then we'll see what they're made of. Juve are already kind of playing the best that they can, at least from a defensive standpoint, but they can't score. And they're too up and down, and you can make the same case for us without a doubt. Inter have already shown fluctuations compared to last season when they were so dominant. They won 3 games in a week before the break, which obviously helps, but it does feel like they've got bad results in them this time around. They're still my favourites, are Inter, to come good and go on and win the league. I think they've got another gear to go into. But I just think it's mad that we're talking about us being in a crisis, manager being on the brink. We've won 3 league games in 7 to start the season. Yet we're still in there. We're still in and around. It's not like we've got a 9-point gap to claw back.
Mm-hmm.
We could have a good month and be in the ascendancy. And the multiplier effect, I think, will come into things where that Leverkusen game was bad because it snapped the momentum we had going, but we lost to a good team. And then obviously we lose to Fiorentina too. Whereas this time it could be like, I think that when we have those league games around the Red Star, Slovan Bratislava, Girona, and whoever the other team is, forgotten. Oh, Dinamo Zagreb. We could go on a run of like 8 there because I think we can win both in the league and in the Champions League. We won't do that because it's us, but I can see us potentially building a bit of momentum then.
In the Fiorentina loss, that is 100% like at fault of the players, right? Like that game should have been a win, but it was. We don't see that mistake happen again.
Just watch like any given Sunday, Mighty Ducks, Coach Carter, Remember the Titans, Miracle. Just watch a sports movie. There's a motivational speech in there, and you'll feel better.
Longest Yard has a few.
Are we still on the motivational question?
Happy Gilmore.
I thought we were. Are we not on that question anymore?
We are. We're on that. No, we're on it. I'm trying to motivate myself to be like, we can win the league. And in turn,
life is a game of inches.
Pass that on to
inches are all around us.
At least someone's paying attention. AJ, or Oliver was doing so good at motivating. AJ and I just spaced out.
Now, some people seem to not realize that I don't have to work today, so my phone's been blowing up.
Happy Columbus Day, everyone. Final one from
Indigenous People Day.
I know we spoke about that.
Peoples.
We'll wrap it up there. I think that's a poignant note to end on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in during the international break. Hope that you're enjoying the respite from the frustrations of Milan. But we are back in action at the weekend. We're back early next week with another main pod, and back later this week with a bonus pod. In the meantime, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. Madison, cheers for joining.
Yeah, it was, nice to not be here at 6 a.m. Felt a little more awake. So, AJ?
I don't even want to.
Gol! Ancora Theo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Teo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio cuore!